Good evening, everyone. My name is Ethan Casaverde. I am in the 11th grade at Cypress Bay High School, and I am currently in ACE Media Studies AS level. And, oh yeah, I'm also the producer of Crushed Crush. Now, if you ask me honestly, Crushed Crush wasn't a thing until last week. So, let's start from the very beginning. October 2016, our teachers introduced us to our portfolio project. They asked us whether we would be interested in making a short film opening of 2 minutes or less, or if we would be interested in making a magazine. Immediately, I began to ponder, what do I like better? What do I want to do? And it didn't take me long to realize that although I like Photoshop and all, I like video editing and playing with sound, with color, with music, with audio, and with the actual visual film itself. That intrigued me a lot more. So, as I submitted my response to what I wanted to do for my portfolio, my mind began buzzing with ideas. My first thought was that I wanted to do something with life after death. I wanted to portray what happened to the human soul after we died. And this thought intrigued me so much. I began to think about how I could incorporate it, who I could talk to, who I could get to be in my movie, what kind of research I would need to see. But as the months passed along and we didn't begin the project yet, the idea began to move away. It began to become less and less reachable, less and less valid to me, and more like something that I would want to watch, but not something that I would want to make. By the time we were given the actual project, it became clear to me that I wanted to go a different direction. So I began to use different sources of media for inspiration, and I concluded that I wanted to do a action-based and fast-paced kind of film opening. So I began to look through the web and began to investigate. But soon after, I realized that I liked my original idea better, even though it wasn't exactly what I wanted. So what did I have to do? Well, it was easy. I just had to modify it. So I began to think, how can I modify it? And one night, when my parents, my brother, and I were watching A Violinist, everything just sort of hit me. I wanted to make a film about life after death, but not necessarily about what happened to the soul of the person who died. That was too supernatural for me. I wanted to do something about what happened to the people left behind, the people who were affected by the death. And so that's what I began to working on. So I began to look into people and what happens to people who lose people who they love. I began to look into films that portrayed what happens after a loved one passes away and other similar items that could help me portray what I wanted. Finally, it was a data film. After many hardships and switching of actresses, I come to this very bedroom I'm in and I begin to film. And I'm going to be quite honest. It sucked. The video looked very unprofessional, it looked very choppy, and it looked very plain. It didn't have enough volume, it didn't have enough depth, it didn't have anything. So I started freaking out. I didn't know what to do. This was my only idea, my best idea so far. So I started thinking, I was like, what am I going to do? And I remember standing right over there. And I just thought, I can do this a different way. So then I began to think. And the friend that I was recording with that day, her and I, we went to the park near my house. And we began to film there. Now, that afternoon, although it was really fun, it was also very productive. We got a lot of footage. We were able to film. We had everything we needed. And when I got home that day, I downloaded everything onto my computer. And I was able to start editing. The next day, however, I'm sitting in study hall and I started to have a panic attack. For one, although the video had a lot of depth, which is something that my last video that I began to record didn't, this one was lacking technique. It didn't show enough, and I didn't feel like it was very good at portraying everything that I've learned throughout the year, which is a lot. I had recorded in a way that it looked like this. It was me who was the main subject of the film, but it was also me who was holding the camera. And it wasn't what I wanted. My second problem with it was that although it was a great production, I felt like it was more of a short story than a film opening. If it wasn't continued, it still made sense. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted something that matched to what we were assigned. It needed to be a film opening and only a film opening. So I texted some friends. I got together with them right after school, and we began to film. And by the end of that night, I had the footage I needed and the time that I needed to begin editing. And I did. So by the end of last week and beginning of this week, I finished my last touches of editing, and I had the film that I wanted. And so, Crushed Crush was what it is now. It was hard. I'm not going to lie. There were some things that were very hard. I am a colorblind individual. So, for example, the picking of the colors and the picking of the filters was extremely hard for me to do. It was just hard to see what looked good, and not only to me, because I don't want it to only look good to me. I wanted it to look good for everyone. And it was really hard for me to see that. I had to get a lot of intake from other people. But it worked out. It was good. And I was happy with the color at the end of it. One of my next challenges was piecing together the different footage that I had. I wanted to make a concurrent following story that would lead to a suspenseful film opening. But I also wanted to play around with different ideas. So while I was filming, I decided that I wanted to challenge the idea that only girls can be sensitive. Because that's not true. It's not right to think that guys can't have emotions and that we can't portray them. And that's what society is used to right now. A guy who cries or feels too much or shows that they feel too much, that's a taboo. And it shouldn't be like that. So I decided to break that convention with my video. In this video, we're inside of a guy's head. We're inside of his head and we're hearing his thoughts as he's thinking about how he met a girl that he really liked. And then she broke his heart. That's another convention that was broken. A guy is usually the one to be thought of as a heartbreaker. And in this one, it was the girl who broke his heart, who gave him a fake number. So this engages with the teenage audience, and it represents the teenage audience because it shows how fast and how wholeheartedly we fall in love, even though we don't know what love truly is. And it shows and it draws on the audience because we can relate to that. I found myself relating to my own video. And it just shows us what kind of people we are. Throughout the project, I also developed the skills to edit a lot. It was not easy to edit a video like this. I wanted it to flow perfectly, and that wasn't easy. But with hours upon hours of editing, I was able to get the video that I have now. And it might have not been easy, but it was definitely fun. And it also allowed me to become more connected with my computer. There were a lot of things that I didn't know I could do. I was able to use GarageBand on my phone and record a dictation to get it on my computer using AirDrop and different techniques to get it through one source of media to another. And it was just really interesting to see how far one can go when you are pushed to your limit. So, as we come to the end of this project, I am happy to say that I am the producer of Crushed Crush. And breaking stereotypes again is what I hope to do next year. Thank you so much for listening to me. Have a good night.